Your cat stopped walking 3 seconds ago. They're standing in the hallway, completely still, staring at the wall 3 feet from your left shoulder. Their pupils are dilated. Their ears have rotated 45 degrees towards something you cannot locate. You look. Nothing. You move closer. Still nothing. You say their name and they don't look at you. Whatever they're tracking exists in a frequency, a wavelength, a layer of physical reality that your body was never built to access. And they've been living in it the whole time. The most natural explanation is personality. Cats are strange, the thinking goes. Independent, inscrutable, wired differently from dogs or from people in some way that resists precise description. You've probably filed the empty corner staring under cat behavior and moved on, the same way you filed their 3 a.m. sprints down the hallway and their inexplicable fixation with blank ceiling tiles. Sometimes they hold it for 40 seconds, sometimes 3 full minutes, motionless, operating at a level of focus that looks nearly meditative. It's easy to dismiss. The behavior has become cultural shorthand for feline eccentricity, proof that cats operate on their own terms and react to stimuli that may or may not correspond to anything real. But here's the problem. That explanation treats the behavior as a personality quirk, when it is actually a sensory report. Your cat is not reacting to nothing. They are reacting to something your anatomy was never designed to detect. Every time this happens, every corner, every wall, every empty patch of ceiling, your cat is receiving a physical signal that you are biologically incapable of perceiving. The question is not whether something is there. The question is, what kind of something? Researchers at City University London published findings in 2014 confirming what animal vision scientists had long suspected. The feline lens, unlike the human lens, does not filter ultraviolet light. In humans, the crystalline lens absorbs UV wavelengths before they reach the retina, a protective mechanism that simultaneously restricts our visible spectrum. In cats, those same wavelengths pass directly through. The study, which examined optical transmission properties across 14 mammalian species, found that cats transmit UV radiation all the way to the retinal surface. What this means in practice: urine contains compounds that fluoresce under ambient UV light. To a cat, a mouse's urine trail does not look like a faint trace on the ground. It glows. A lit pathway pointing directly to the source. Biological residue on your floor that is completely invisible to you registers to your cat as a vivid, high-contrast marker. There is an entire additional band of the visual spectrum layered over every surface in your home, and only one of you can see it. But the more interesting finding came from auditory research. A study published in the Journal of the Acoustical Society of America measured the upper frequency limit of domestic cat hearing at 64,000 hertz, and in some individuals as high as 85,000. The human auditory ceiling is 20,000 hertz. To put that gap in physical terms, the charging block for your phone, the power supply inside your computer, and the electrical conduits behind your drywall all emit high-frequency whines in that range. Your home is not quiet to your cat. It is a continuous, layered acoustic environment that you cannot hear at all. But here's what nobody expected. The speed at which your cat's visual cortex processes incoming information is itself a form of perception humans don't share. And it changes what they experience inside your home more profoundly than anything in the outdoor world. This is called the flicker fusion frequency, the rate at which separate frames of light are integrated into a single continuous image. Human brains fuse flickering light at roughly 45 to 60 frames per second, which is why standard screens appear smooth and unbroken to you. A cat's threshold sits between 70 and 100 hertz, a completely different timeline. The television your cat occasionally watches is not showing them a film. It is showing them a rapid, disjointed series of individual frames, closer to a strobe than a story. The LED lights in your kitchen that appear perfectly stable to you pulse visibly to your cat several times every second. Not an enhancement, a form of constant interference. Their visual system was calibrated over millions of years for low-light outdoor environments and high-speed prey movement. The modern home delivers an artificial visual frequency that was never part of that design. When your cat avoids a particular room or flinches at a light you cannot see flickering, they are not being difficult. They are accurately reporting what they are receiving. Compare that to the research on what cats feel through the ground beneath them. Dense concentrations of Pacinian corpuscles, mechanoreceptors tuned specifically to high-frequency vibrations, are packed into the subcutaneous tissue of a cat's paw pads. Behavioral studies examining animal responses before seismic events found that cats registered clear agitation several minutes before any human occupant of the same building perceived any change. Their vibration detection threshold is significantly lower than anything human fingertips can register. Before an earthquake's destructive secondary waves arrive, the Earth emits fast-moving primary P waves, subtle enough that no human sensory system catches them. A cat's paws catch them immediately. And here's why that matters. This is not a separate, exotic ability. It is the same underlying logic running through every sensory system in their body. A nervous system calibrated so precisely that their world produces information in multiple, simultaneous channels that yours does not. Cats are not a recent product of human shaping. Dogs were domesticated roughly 15,000 years ago. And over those millennia, their social and cognitive architecture was progressively reorganized around human proximity. Their emotional attunement to people is, in large part, a product of that long selection. Cats were never reorganized at that level. Genetic comparisons between the domestic cat genome and its wild ancestor, Felis sylvestris libica, show remarkably few changes in sensory architecture. What lives inside your cat's skull is a fully intact predator's sensory system, barely modified, running inside an apartment. The vomeronasal organ, also called Jacobson's organ, sits in the roof of the mouth just behind the front teeth. It is a fluid-filled chemoreceptor tuned specifically to pheromones, molecular signals that carry information about age, sex, health status, and emotional state. When your cat pulls their lips back in what looks like a grimace after pressing their nose to something, that expression is the flamen response. They are not reacting to a scent in the way you experience scent. They are loading airborne chemical data into a dedicated analysis system. Cortisol, the hormone your body releases under stress, anxiety, or exhaustion, carries a distinct molecular signature. Your cat's vomeronasal system detects it, not as a vague impression, as specific, readable data. They know your emotional state before you have said a word, before your posture has changed, before you have moved. Not through intuition in any metaphorical sense, through chemistry. The mechanism is precise, physical, and ancient. There is a finding from this body of research that tends to stop people. Your cat knows more about your current internal state than most of the humans in your life do. Every system described here runs simultaneously, in real time. When your cat walks into a room where you have been sitting alone for an hour, they are not simply entering a space. They are reading one. The chemical signature of what you have been feeling. The acoustic texture of every electrical device running around you. The vibration profile of the floor. The UV layer over every surface. Here's something that rarely gets mentioned outside of veterinary behavioral research. A 2021 study from Nottingham Trent University found that domestic cats adjusted their proximity-seeking behavior, vocalization frequency, and activity levels in direct response to owner stress markers. Not to any observable behavior, but to chemical and acoustic cues the owners themselves were unaware of producing. The cats were responding to the signal beneath the performance. What this means for your relationship with your cat is specific and earned. Every time your cat moves toward you at the end of a difficult day, every deliberate approach, every weight settling against your leg, they have already processed the full situation with a sensory architecture that makes human perception look approximate. They read the UV layer on the room's surfaces. They processed the ultrasonic frequencies coming off your devices. They tasted the chemistry of what you've been carrying. They assessed all of it. And then they crossed the room anyway. Not out of ignorance of what you're going through, because of what you're going through. If this shifted how you see your cat standing completely still in a doorway, if that moment reads differently now, subscribe, because this channel is built on exactly that kind of reframe. Leave a comment with the most specific thing your cat has fixated on. The exact corner, the time of day, how long it lasted. Because based on what the research shows, it almost certainly wasn't nothing. Next video, psychology of cats waiting for you. What's happening in their brain? We'll explore what happens inside a cat's brain during the 20 minutes before their owner comes home, and why the level of anticipatory processing revealed by the data is far stranger than most people expect. Stay tuned, subscribe, and don't forget to turn on notifications.